Our news media exists to help us get a sense of our communities and the world at large. It does this by looking at the infinite number of things that are happening around the globe and chooses what to report, how to report, and how much to report. This means that all media, even when it's just straight reporting of facts, is political. But Islamophobia informs our mainstream media, meaning that the picture it's creating is distorted. This image is one that reinforces unfair biases about Islam and Muslims. An academic study on Canadian mainstream media confirms that violent acts committed by Muslims get far more news coverage than violent acts by white supremacists and right-wing extremists, even though the latter have been responsible for more deaths. So even though Muslim political violence has taken only 2 lives in Canada since 1960, the media is giving us a different story, leaving us in Canada always worried about the next act of so-called jihadi terrorism. And it's not just in the amount of coverage, but the type of coverage. Take these 2 front pages of the Globe and Mail. On the left, taken the day after the Boston Marathon bombing, and on the right, the day after the Quebec mosque shooting. The Quebec mosque shooting happened in Canada and was more fatal than the Boston Marathon bombing. But the headlines would have you believe another story. And so our mainstream media doesn't just deliver us the facts, it also strongly influences how we feel about the facts. In this case, by suggesting that Muslim lives aren't as important as non-Muslim ones. Now, take this terrorism timeline put together by Global News after the Quebec mosque shooting. The only other incidents mentioned on there are ones by Muslims, including one that wasn't even carried out. The timeline doesn't include some more fatal acts of violence, like the murder of 3 RCMP officers by right-winger Justin Bourque, or the murder of 14 women at l'École Polytechnique by Marc Lepine. So when people say that all terrorists are Muslim, it's because, well, we only call something terrorism if it was committed by Muslims. We rightly expect the mainstream media to be a truth teller, but Islamophobia and other biases mean that this isn't the case. Islamophobia in media leads us to overestimate the threat of Muslim violence and underestimate the threats against Muslims. This contributes to more Islamophobia. It's a vicious cycle. We need to rely on more honest sources of analysis and knowledge. At the same time, we also have to hold our mainstream media to account for perpetuating unfounded stereotypes about Muslims and Islam.